Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next hour. Trump-Zelenskyy dramatic spat in White House widens the rift between the two leaders, derails U.S. Ukraine deal. United States-Ukraine rift divides the international community. European nations rally behind Zelenskyy. Russia, Hungary back Donald Trump. Kurdistan Workers' Party militia declared ceasefire, major step towards ending 40-year conflict with Turkish state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends NXT Conclave in Delhi, highlights India's rising stature on the world stage. In cricket, England lose quick wickets after opting to bat against South Africa at Champions Trophy in Karachi. A tense and highly public Oval Office showdown between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has sent shockwaves through the international community. What was meant to be a high-stakes diplomatic meeting quickly turned into an explosive confrontation, leaving U.S.-Ukraine relations at crossroads. Here's how.
A high-stakes diplomatic meeting turned into a political spectacle as Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy clashed in a fiery Oval Office showdown.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
The meeting, originally intended to coordinate a peace plan, quickly descended into chaos as Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance accused Zelenskyy of not being thankful and rejecting their truce proposal with Russia.
You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire.
In this entire meeting, you said thank you. You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
In a heated exchange broadcast globally, Trump and Vance clashed with Zelenskyy, pushing him to accept a peace deal that required Ukraine to make compromises. Zelenskyy, however, pushed back, arguing that past peace efforts had failed to stop Russian aggression.
He occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him.
At one point, Vance interrupted Zelenskyy, calling him disrespectful, escalating tensions even further. The Ukrainian leader left shortly after the exchange, refusing to apologize for the chaotic meeting.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
Later in an interview, Zelenskyy said that without US support, Ukraine would struggle to hold off Russian forces, underscoring the stakes of the conflict.
It will be difficult for us. That's why I'm here.
That's why we speak about the future negotiations. It will be difficult without your support, but we can't lose.
Trump, however, doubled down on his criticism, saying Zelensky did not look like a man who wanted peace.
From his standpoint, I think he very much overplayed his hand. We're looking for peace. I saw it today. This is a man that wants to get us signed up and keep fighting, and we're not doing that. Not for this country.
With U.S. Ukraine tensions at an all-time high, the Oval Office clash has raised serious questions about America's future role in the conflict and whether Ukraine can continue its fight without full U.S. backing. With Nupur Sharma, Fuzail Ahmed's report for DD India.
The meeting between Trump and Zelensky was nothing short of dramatic. Still, European leaders are rallying behind Ukrainian President. Aarti Rana has more.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position.
Explosive meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky continues to reverberate across the Atlantic.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
But European nations have strongly reiterated their support for Ukraine, causing a deepening of transatlantic rift. The leaders of France, Germany and the European Union emphasize that Ukraine's fight is not just about its sovereignty, but about defending European security. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen voiced her unwavering support for Ukraine. EU President Kaja Kallas went a step further, declaring Ukraine is Europe and stating that free world needs a new leader, signaling frustration with Trump's stance. French President Emmanuel Macron called Russia the aggressor while claimed Ukraine a victim. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz emphasized his commitment to Ukraine while stating that Ukraine can rely on Germany and on Europe. Germany's new conservative leader, incoming Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who has said he seeks independence from the US. Similar support came from Sweden, Lithuania, France and the Czech Republic, all highlighting Ukraine's role in defending not just its own sovereignty, but also Europe's security. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer also backed Zelensky and expressed support for Ukraine. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese saying Canberra would continue to stand with Ukraine, though countries like Turkey and Italy have remained silent in the aftermath.
The people of Ukraine have suffered greatly in defence of their nation and their national sovereignty. And Russia has acted like a bully, a big country seeking to invade and to take over territory from another sovereign nation, in this case Ukraine. And like the rest of overwhelmingly countries around the world, we have stood with Ukraine and we will continue to do so.
In contrast, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, a known ally of Trump, supported the former president's stance, adding fuel to the transatlantic rift. On the Russian side, former President Dmitry Medvedev did not hold back, mocking Zelensky and praising Trump's remarks, while claiming that American president was right to call the conflict a dangerous gamble. European leaders largely avoided mentioning Trump or Vance, focusing instead on reaffirming their support for Ukraine as its conflict with Russia enters year 4. The geopolitical divide is clear. The world watches closely as US and Europe continue to clash on how best to handle the crisis. Will this diplomatic rift have a lasting impact on global alliances? Only time can tell. Bureau Report, DD India. And DD India correspondent Amritpal Singh joins us live from New Delhi. Amrit, several hours after the dramatic spat between Trump and Zelensky, do we have a sense of what has been the fallout for the two nations?
Well, the fallout for the Ukrainians clearly is that it is stalemate for them without American support, as Zelensky himself says, that they cannot carry on the war for very long. They will have to, increase diplomacy with the Europeans. Right now, the Europeans are giving lip service. If you look at the French president's statement or the German chancellor's statement, but there is a change of guard in Germany. We'll have to see what the new chancellor thinks. But the European Union as a whole, will it lend the kind of support that it lent to Ukraine earlier? We'll have to see. It puts a new spin on things. So clearly, it's a setback for Ukraine. For Donald Trump or the Americans, it clearly means that one, they are not getting the critical minerals, at least as of now, unless they are able to arm twist Zelensky into it. Weakened Zelensky may agree to that at a later stage. But we don't know. The future of the war looks uncertain. Of course, it means that heightened diplomacy will, or some kind of contact with the Russians will be established, and Donald Trump would now look at how it can partner with whoever is willing to partner with him to bring this war to an end. But it will really be a forced end to the war, not the kind of peace that could have been brought through diplomacy. It will be really a victor and a defeated agreement. How long that lasts remains to be seen.
Right, and with over 3 years of exhausting conflict, Russia should be pleased with these recent developments, particularly what happened in the White House.
Russia should be pleased. Putin would be smiling all the way, but we'll have to see how things pan out from now. We know Ukraine, without the Western support, especially the American support, wouldn't be able to stand on its own legs for long. It is struggling to fight the Russians. The Russians would, if the war comes to an end, it will probably be more on Russian terms than an equal or an equitable settlement. Yes, the Russians clearly have an upper hand with what happened yesterday, depending upon how things transpire in the days and months to come.
Amrit, thank you for joining us with those updates. And staying with the story, joining us now is Professor Anshu Joshi of School of International Studies, JNU, to talk more about the implications of the rift that we saw on our televisions. Professor Joshi, good afternoon and welcome. Are you with us? We'll have to just check that. Professor Anshu Joshi is joining us from the JNU. There you are, ma'am. Welcome to DD India. Now, after that dramatic on-camera rift, separate statements came in from the two presidents. Trump said Zelensky is not ready for peace. Zelensky says he seeks lasting peace for Ukraine. What is the difference between the two versions of peace that the leaders are talking about?
Shuvendu, first and foremost, thank you so much to the whole team of Doordarshan for this invite. And definitely right now what we are watching on our television sets or on social media, this spat between Trump and Zelensky, there is a lot more behind what we can see, and actually there is a diplomatic rift that can be seen at the global stage right now, Shuvendu, with respect to ending this Russia-Ukraine war. So it's not very difficult to decode the reasons behind what and why each and every player or stakeholder related to this war is stating. So if prima facie we can see the anger of Trump is can be seen because what he stated with his this meeting with Zelensky, that Biden kept supporting Ukraine with like whooping money from United States of America and 350 billion USD. We can understand the anger of Trump, and despite making appeals several times that Zelensky should come forward to the diplomatic table and should help in ending the war, Zelensky has his own terms and conditions, as in Ukraine presented another like draft to the way phase-wise manner how the war could be ended to United Nations, in which interestingly Russia and United States of America both stood on the same page and opposed this draft, while the nations belonging to European Union and most of the European countries actually supported this draft. So a clear-cut divide can be seen, and very interestingly Russia and United States of America stands on the same side, Shuvendu. So actually when we look at the question that you asked, that what is the meaning of peace that each of the leaders mean, see, we have to understand United States of America was helping Ukraine, till now. Now Trump would be stepping back from providing all this aid or, money, military equipment and other help that US was providing to Ukraine. And Zelensky is scared because the moment US will step back, or for that matter, other nations of NATO will step back from providing this help, Ukraine does not stand anywhere. So he wants to end the war in a phased-wise manner, and also Ukraine should not feel defeated, or Ukraine should not be declared as like a defeated country. So there are certain, there is a difference in the way Putin wants to end the war, or for that matter, Trump wants to end the war, and Zelensky wants to end the war.
Right, but given the rift that we witnessed, and when the top EU diplomat Kaja Kallas says that Ukraine is Europe and there is a need for a new leader in the free world, what is the larger message for Europe and United States?
See, we have to understand that till now, this war is like on not between Russia and Ukraine directly, Shuvendu. It was always seen as a war between Russia and NATO led by United States of America. And we all know that how different European nations that are member of NATO kept helping Ukraine indirectly from like NATO's side. And United States of America was leading from front. And we all know the political reasons also behind it. When Biden was the president, he was losing popularity and to save his face, and there were several other political reasons for which he kept supporting Ukraine. Now, when Trump has become the president, he came out with his own roadmap of executing his foreign policy, what like Marco Rubio had stated when he presented the foreign policy roadmap of United States of America in coming days and months. And that clearly states that they would be rechannelizing the international aid that they are providing to different nations to like back to their internal things and issues and their own people. So there now a rift can be seen within NATO also, wherein most of the European nations, they can't afford Putin to like lead Europe or emerge as like a victor. So they, whatever now Trump wants to do, they also want to end the war, but not in the way and manner and timeline Trump wants to do it. So that is where a clear-cut rift can be seen, wherein EU also has now announced its like unwavering support to Ukraine. Most of the European nations are also standing with Ukraine. But on the other side, we can see that how United States of America is trying to like now convince Zelensky that this is the time now he should like sit on diplomatic table and discuss with Russia that how the war and when the war could be ended. And so all in all, that is the very interesting situation right now.
Professor Joshi, also, what do you make of a certain diplomatic gamble that United States, led by President Trump, is engaging in? Because it is not just about the feud with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but also the growing proximity, as it were, those signals for Russia, which has been perhaps a long-term adversary and now could be a potential ally. What is Donald Trump trying to achieve?
That's a very good question, Shuvendu. And there I would say that maybe he's taking a lead from India. Because you look at India, how in past couple of years, we have kind of shifted our foreign policy from being non-aligned to all-aligned. And we are enjoying our strategic autonomy. We also declare that we respect the strategic autonomy of other nations also. And we keep like equal distance, or for that matter, I would say no distance with all the nations of the world that want global peace and security. So when Trump and Putin met in Riyadh, entire world was like shocked. And now both the leaders seems to be standing on the same page when it comes to end the Russia-Ukraine war. And we can see the similar voices from Russia, we can as like what Trump is stating. So I think now this is like a different kind of foreign policy he is executing from United States of America. But definitely this will not be liked, or this is not being liked by the members of NATO. Because NATO was formed during the Cold War's period to defend all these countries, Western Bloc countries, against that time's USSR. So now when we see the changing scenario wherein Putin and Trump seems to be like, shaking their hands, definitely it's going to create a rift, or it has already created a rift in NATO. And definitely Trump's relations, or for that matter United States of America's relations with European countries would definitely get impacted if in near future we see US Russia relations moving towards a positive milestone. So definitely right now it's like a transforming time, and it would be really interesting to see what comes out in near future.
How do you see advantage Putin? Because he appears to be making the most important advances in this conflict without firing a single shot.
Definitely, Shuvendu, and from the beginning this war started, I believe that Putin had his own reasons to, attack Ukraine, because he was warning Zelensky not to apply for the membership of NATO. Because when we look from geopolitical angles, when we look from geostrategic angles, Putin could not afford NATO countries, United States of America knocking its doors. We all know where Ukraine is situated. So that is why at that point in time this war started. And we all have seen that how he defended his country against not only from NATO members, because we all know that indirectly all the NATO members were helping Ukraine to sustain this war or to stand strongly in this war. So now when we see the kind of developments every day are coming up, for there I can see that Putin definitely has an advantage, wherein he is trying to normalizing Russia's relationship with United States of America. That's a positive signal for global politics as well, because we have seen this world divided into two blocks till now. Now if actually the ice melts, and if actually the two leaders take this relationship towards a positive direction, it will not only be advantageous for Putin and for Russia, it will also bring good news for America and for rest of the world, because there are many nations like India that suffered a lot because of this lobby politics. So all in all, definitely it's a very good situation, advantageous situation for Putin at the moment.
And if we talk about the manner in which Volodymyr Zelensky conducted himself in his exchanges with the president and the vice president of the White House, it did come across as defiant about his position on what this conflict is all about, whether it is Russia's brutality or Ukraine's right for territorial integrity. For real world ceasefire, will he have to compromise on his position? Will he have to come down from where he is at the moment?
Definitely, Shuvendu, and that is why we can see that Zelensky is not ready to the terms and conditions or the draft presented by Russia in past, or for that matter proposed by United States of America to United Nations, and it has developed, Ukraine has developed its own draft and presented it in front of United Nations, that how the ceasefire, or for that matter how the should happen, or for that matter how the war should end. And as I said, Zelensky would never like to be portrayed as a defeated leader, or for that matter, he would not want his country to be declared as a defeated country. But here Zelensky is forgetting one thing, Shuvendu. Already Ukraine is all devastated, and this war is on the soil of Ukraine. And now it's high time he should understand that what have been the repercussions of this war, not only on Ukraine, on Russia, and on rest of the world. You look at the economic crisis that most of the European nations are facing presently because of this war. So Zelensky has his own terms and conditions, but he must understand the diplomatic needs, and sometimes it becomes essential to compromise on certain things and move ahead with a positive attitude. So all in all, I do foresee that war would end in near future, but on what terms and conditions, and what would be the gain and loss for all these players, still it is uncertain. We have to wait and we have to watch.
Right, and finally, Donald Trump's style, and if I should say school of diplomacy, an example of which we saw on our television screens last night. What do you make of it? In the middle of a conflict, he brought in that minerals issue, a possible deal with Ukraine that appears to have hit a cold storage at the moment. the manner in which both President and Vice President tried to exchange barbs with the visiting President from Ukraine. What do you, and it's all happening in front of TV cameras that President was aware of. What do you make of it?
See, when we look at Trump's policies and the way Trump behaves, most of the times we all believe, all the experts believe that he is one of the most unpredictable leaders, and that is what he has proved. And when the talks were like supposed to happen, this deal was like much awaited one related to some critical minerals, and Zelensky was also looking forward to this deal, and Trump proposed, and maybe he is also a businessman apart from being the president of United States of America. And that is why I think that when he sat with Zelensky, he had a parallel plan of like how, the bilateral relations between US and Ukraine could still be like maintained through such kind of win-win deals or agreements, while like on the other track he's standing with Putin and he wants to end the war on the terms and conditions proposed by Russia and United States of America. So maybe he actually tried to use this proposal of agreement as a diplomatic maybe bait, or like it was kind of a proposal to Zelensky that as in on one track we will keep our bilaterals intact and good, but on the other track when it comes to ending this war, please listen to me and like sit on the diplomatic table with the other side and now accept my plan and end the war. So this is what I can make out of his gestures and his statements and the kind of body language he was using. So he seems to be really aggressive, the way like he scolded Zelensky and the way he spoke to him. So he was aggressive, and it was actually shocking for the entire world the way the two leaders spoke with each other. So, but then I think at the end of the day, what Trump promised during his electoral campaign, he actually wants to end the war, Shuvendu. And here also he is thinking like a businessman. He does not want to pull in or, send this money which is intended to be used for the development of his nation, of his people. So he wants to rechannelize this money. And that is why I think this is kind of a warning also that Biden gave all this, whooping amount of money to Ukraine, but now Trump would be like stepping back. So there is a read between the line, what I could make out from like his statements when he was talking to Zelensky. So let's see what comes out of the, hat now.
We'll have to wait and watch the direction that this conflict takes. On that note, Professor Anshu Joshi, thank you very much for joining us on the News Hour and sharing your perspective. Moving on, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the NXT Conclave 2025 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi today. Speaking at the conclave, Prime Minister Modi highlighted India's rising global influence, stating that the world is eager to engage with India like never before. He also stated that India is becoming a reliable partner in global supply chain as its indigenous defense products are showcasing the power of Indian engineering and technology.
आज भारत न्यू फैक्ट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड बन रहा है। हम सिर्फ वर्कफोर्स नहीं, वर्ल्ड फोर्स बन रहे हैं। कभी हम जिन चीजों का इंपोर्ट करते थे, आज देश उनका इमर्जिंग एक्सपोर्ट हब बन रहा है। जो किसान कभी लोकल मार्केट तक ही सीमित था, आज उसकी फसल पूरी दुनिया के बाजारों तक पहुंच रही है। हमारे डिफेंस प्रोडक्ट्स दुनिया को भारतीय इंजीनियरिंग और टेक्नोलॉजी की ताकत दिखा रहे हैं।
And Prime Minister Modi also lauded Vocal for Local and Local for Global initiative.
वोकल फॉर लोकल एंड लोकल फॉर ग्लोबल का विजन देश के सामने रखा था। आज हम इस विजन को सच्चाई में बदलते हुए देख रहे हैं। आज हमारे यहाँ आयुष प्रोडक्ट्स और योग लोकल से ग्लोबल हो गए हैं। दुनिया में कहीं पर भी जाइए, कोई न कोई तो योग को जानने वाला मिलेगा ही। आज भारत के सुपरफूड हमारा मखाना लोकल से ग्लोबल हो रहा है।
And still to come on DD India News Hour. United States announces approval of sale of more than $3 billion in munitions, bulldozers and related equipment to Israel. And global experts enjoy historic hydrogen bus ride from the iconic Taj to Bharat Mandapam. India is known as the land of yoga. Few extraordinary individuals have taken this magic of ancient wisdom to people around the world.
Paramahansa Yogananda taught that, the basic law of right human behavior is self-reform. And that means if we can put the majority of our effort to changing ourselves for the better, then we will influence others in the world by our example. India has its ancient teachings of yoga has a real place to play in the developing world civilization. And what it means to be a global citizen, to consider the whole world kind of in your embrace.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. The United States on Friday announced the approval of sale of more than $3 billion in munition, bulldozers and related equipment to Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio signed off on the sales of over $2 billion in bomb bodies, warheads, another $675 million in bomb bodies and guidance kits, $295 million in bulldozers and related equipment. The U.S. Defense Security Cooperation Agency, DSCA, said United States is committed to the security of Israel and it is vital to U.S. national interest to assist Israel develop and maintain a strong and ready self-defense capability. The latest weapons transactions come after Washington approved the sales of more than $7.4 billion in bombs, missiles and related equipment to Israel earlier this month. Israeli delegation returned from Cairo with no agreement on extending the Gaza ceasefire. Afterwards, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was due to hold consultations with security chiefs and ministers. Israel had sought to extend the 42-day truce agreed as a first stage in the ceasefire agreement to the Muslim fasting month of Ramadan, which begins this weekend. But Hamas wanted to move on to negotiations over the second stage. The agreement reached last month halted 15 months of fighting, allowing the exchange of 33 Israeli hostages and 5 Thais for around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees. It was meant to lead to subsequent talks to build on the truce. Israeli officials have previously said Israel was ready to resume fighting in Gaza if all its remaining hostages are not returned. Egyptian and Qatari mediators asked for some time over the next few days to resolve the impasse over the ceasefire. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that Israel-Hamas hostage deal and ceasefire must hold as talks on a second phase of agreement resume in Cairo.
The ceasefire and hostage release deal must hold. The coming days are critical. the parties must spare no effort to avoid a breakdown of this deal. I urge them to uphold their commitments and implement all of them in full. All hostages must be released immediately and conditionally in a dignified manner. The parties must ensure humane treatment for all those held under their power, and all transfers must be carried out in a dignified way and as per the terms of the deal.
In other news, the Kurdish Workers' Party militia has announced it will disarm and declare an immediate ceasefire, heeding the call of its jail leader, Abdullah Öcalan. The major development marks a crucial step towards ending the 40-year conflict with the Turkish state. The Kurdish Workers' Party is hopeful that Ankara will release their leader, who has been imprisoned in near-total isolation since 1999. His release would enable him to spearhead disarmament process. However, PKK emphasizes that certain political and democratic conditions must be met for this process to succeed. Thousands of South Korean protesters supporting and opposing impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol held rallies across Seoul on Saturday as the country awaits the ruling of its constitutional court on Yoon's impeachment. More than 60,000 Yoon supporters gathered along the capital city's central Gwanghwamun Square, according to police estimates. Meanwhile, around 18,000 anti-Yoon protesters rallied near the constitutional court for Yoon's removal from his office. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has completed their third review of Sri Lanka's 48-month extended fund facility, enabling an immediate disbursement of approximately $334 million. This brings the total IMF financial support for Sri Lanka to about $1.34 billion since the program's approval in March of 2023. While approving the third review, IMF commended Sri Lanka's strong performance under the program, noting that all quantitative targets of December 2024 were met, except for the indicative target on social spending. The IMF has also highlighted the necessity of finalizing bilateral agreements with creditors to advance debt restructuring efforts. Bilateral debt restructuring was coordinated by Official Creditor Committee last year, led by India, Japan, and France. Let's now turn to other stories making news around the world. A drone footage from Poland's Baltic coast shows rescuers attempting to help a young humpback whale trapped in a fishing net close to Szczecin. A joint rescue operation was launched involving state and volunteer search teams, local national park authorities and other agencies to reach the whale and free it from the net. Spanish actress Carla Sofia Gascon walked the red carpet at France's César Awards on February 28th after missing other ceremonies this season, raising uncertainty about her attendance at the upcoming Oscars. She was nominated for the Best Actress alongside her Emilia Pérez co-star Zoe Saldana. Césars took place 3 days before the Academy Awards in Los Angeles on March 3rd. Authorities in Japan's Iwate prefecture have expanded evacuation orders as a wildfire continues to spread. Over 1,400 hectares of land, nearly 100 homes have been destroyed, with one fatality reported. The Japan Self-Defense Forces have deployed helicopters to fight the blaze, which has been ongoing since February 26th. Emporio Armani presented a winter collection on Thursday dominated by black with red, green and blue elements. Giorgio Armani drew inspiration from the play and fun reflected in the use of playing card details. At the show's conclusion, he was joined by his niece and design collaborator Silvana Armani. Milan Fashion Week will run until March 3rd. A Dutch delegation from the field of semiconductors is visiting India on an innovation mission. India is setting important steps to become a global semiconductor hub. Mark Lindberg is reporting from Netherlands.
Rapidly emerging as a key player in the global semiconductor industry, a Dutch trade delegation will travel to India to explore opportunities for collaboration in chip design, semiconductor equipment and innovation. but also to find out what makes this market so promising and what role Dutch companies can play in shaping the future of the semiconductor industry in India. We asked Maurice Gerards, CEO of one of the biggest players in the semiconductor industry, NXP.
NXP is indeed since 1993 active in India. We have thousands of engineers and they are excellent designers for chips. So they are an integral part of our global R&D system. And India is an integral part of our R&D system. So when NXP grows, we will grow in India.
This mission is being organized by the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs. But why is this mission so important?
We have in total more than 330 companies and research institutions in the field of semicon. And we feel this is the right time to have this innovation mission to India because of the huge investments that India is making in this sector. And we want to see where we can link up and collaborate together.
Collaboration in the broader sense of the word, because the Dutch Technical University of Eindhoven will join this mission.
We, as the technical university, we of course provide the talent pipeline. And we are global, and we want people from all over the world to study here and then actually have a job here. Networking is extremely important, and making contacts. And if you actually study together from the perspective of a technical university, you make these contacts for life, and I'm sure you will meet each other in 10, 20 years later in this broad field of semicon.
But what are the thoughts of the ambassadors of both India and the Netherlands on Indian-Dutch cooperation?
The potential for cooperation in the business area is quite wide, and it is not only limited to a few sectors, though sectors like water, agriculture, health are very important, but also our focus areas in semiconductors, in photonics, in quantum computing. So these are also other areas in which there's a lot of potential for cooperation.
Well, I think this mission is very important because at this moment in time, we're working on strengthening our already very good relationship with India. We're trying to conclude a strategic partnership between India and the Netherlands. And we have determined high-tech innovation and so also semiconductors as a very important element of that strategic partnership.
The mission will take place at the beginning of March. Mark Limburg reporting for DD India from the Netherlands.
Global experts are enjoying a groundbreaking hydrogen bus ride from the iconic Taj to Bharat Mandapam in India, showcasing the country's commitment to clean energy and sustainable mobility. Among the distinguished guests on board are physicist Brian Greene, MIT professor Jonathan Fleming, Dr. Christian Kasparek from the mobility world and venture capitalist Namit Choksi, leaders in their respective fields discussing the vast window of opportunity India has in the hydrogen economy and clean energy revolution. Hydrogen bus ride reflects Prime Minister Modi's vision of a green and self-reliant India. The ride is not just a journey across the city, but a glimpse into the future of green transportation and innovation.
What you need to be a world leader is you need the people who are trained, who are creative, who are enthusiastic, who are energetic. And that's what you have in droves in this country. And so there's a huge opportunity for India to be a leader in this technology.
Fuel. And so just in terms of cost parity, I think it'll make a lot more sense. So I think, yeah, to wrap up, I think two things, right? Sustainability, but also like cost parity and financial perspective, it makes a lot more sense.
There's a clear winner yet. I mean, there has been test operation for hydrogen. The Middle East is actually betting on hydrogen quite a bit. I would say none has really figured it out fully. Maybe India could be the first one.
Has all of the ingredients, starting with the leadership at the top, in order to become this global hub. Because the home market here is bigger than any other home market in the world. So if you're number one in the number one market, you have a really good chance at being the global leader.
India's President Draupadi Murmu visited Doordarshan, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Rann of Kutch, Gujarat, on Saturday. Doordarshan is known for its ancient Harappan civilization remains. Early on Friday, the President graced the third convocation of National Forensic Sciences University in Gandhinagar, along with a visit to Smriti 1 Earthquake Memorial at Bhuj. And still to come on DD India News Hour. We take a look at strategies for India's final group match against New Zealand in Champions Trophy. Some weather update: moderate to heavy rains and snowfall in Jammu and Kashmir. And how Indian dance form Odishi mesmerizes audiences in Tokyo, Japan.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually addressed the post-budget webinar on agriculture and rural prosperity. In his address, he said India's resolve to move towards Viksit Bharat or developed nation is very clear, adding further that collective work in building India is underway.
भारत के लक्ष्य की ओर बढ़ रहे भारत के संकल्प बहुत स्पष्ट हैं। हम सभी मिलकर एक ऐसे भारत के निर्माण में जुटे हैं जहां किसान समृद्ध हो, किसान सशक्त हो। हमारा प्रयास है कि कोई किसान पीछे न छूटे। हर एक किसान को आगे बढ़ाएं। हमने कृषि को विकास का पहला इंजन मानते हुए अपने अन्नदाताओं को गौरवपूर्ण स्थान दिया है।
India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chaired the 49th Civil Accounts Day celebrations, the foundation day of Indian Civil Accounts Service in New Delhi. A compendium on public financial management system titled Digitalization of Public Financial Management in India was also released during the event. It is a key IT platform for financial administration of the government, including payment, receipt, accounting, cash management, financial reporting. In her address, Minister Sitharaman hailed government's transparency and efficiency in managing schemes.
What better example can there be of cooperative federalism if only we recognize all 31 state treasuries and 40 lakh or over 40 lakh program implementing agencies. I'll repeat that. All 31 state treasuries and over 40 lakh program implementing agencies enabling unified financial management across states. Look at the dimension. Just look at the dimension of this. A country with over 140 billion population, a country which is the largest democracy, but yet has provincially elected governments. All their systems are integrated and managed by our friends here.
Some weather update: after prolonged dry spell and very less snowfall during peak winter months, Jammu and Kashmir has been witnessing moderate to heavy rains and snowfall. It not only ended the dry spell but also brought down the precipitation deficit in the valley by more than 20%. With two more western disturbances approaching towards the valley, the deficit could further come down within the next couple of weeks. Heavy snow and rains of the season has been experienced across Kashmir and Jammu region, besides many parts of Ladakh region in the past 24 hours. Over a dozen houses have been reportedly damaged in Ramban, Doda, Udhampur and Riyasi areas since last evening. 13 cattle perished due to lightning in Darhal and Kotandanka area of the district Rajouri due to lightning on Friday. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Disaster Management Agency has also issued warning about avalanches in upper regions of Kashmir and Doda and Kishtwar region districts of Jammu region. Let's now take a look at other stories making news. Tourists enjoy the chilly weather at Dal Lake, surrounded by the serene beauty of Kashmir's iconic landscape. As the cool breeze brushes through the air, visitors wrap themselves in warm shawls, sipping hot kava or tea while admiring the tranquil waters. The houseboats float gently on the lake, their vibrant colors adding a lively contrast to the otherwise calm surroundings. India's Finance Secretary Tuhin Kant Pandey has been appointed as the 11th chairperson of the Securities and Exchange Board of India for a 3-year period. He will succeed Madhabi Puri Butch, who will complete her tenure as SEBI's first woman chairperson on February 28, 2025. Activists have announced plans to promote the Black Buck Sanctuary Interpretation Centres as a key initiative to advance wildlife conservation efforts in India. The Black Buck Sanctuary Centres will serve as educational hubs featuring interactive exhibits, informative displays and multimedia presentations to engage visitors on the significance of wildlife conservation. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for all the action from the world of sports. Let's talk about cricket. South Africa are all set to clinch a semi-final spot in the Champions Trophy 2025 after a terrific bowling effort, reducing England to 153 for 7 after 30 overs. Marco Jansen has been the pick of the bunch, taking 3 scalps in a superb diving catch, while Kesav Maharaj picked 2 wickets. England skipper Josh Butler, captaining for his country for the last time on Saturday, won the toss and opted to bat against South Africa in the Champions Trophy in Karachi. The Proteas are being led by batter Aiden Markram, and their regular skipper Themba Bavuma was rested due to illness. South Africa are hoping to seal top spot in their group. Meanwhile, New Zealand has been India's Achilles heel in ICC tournaments, often derailing their title hopes. DD India's Narayan Singh uncovers 5 key strategies for India's final group match against New Zealand in the battle of table toppers in the ICC Champions Trophy.
The Indian cricket team will look to maintain their unbeaten run when they square off against New Zealand in their final Group A match of the ICC Champions Trophy 2025. Talking about India's record, India has won just 5 of the 15 ICC clashes against them. A strong strategy is needed to turn the tide. Let's take a look. The first, stick to the basics. Overcomplicating things has hurt India before. Keeping it simple worked in the 2023 World Cup where India beat New Zealand in the semis. Trust the process, play smart and treat them like any other opponent. Second, exploit their weaknesses. Study New Zealand closely. For example, Kane Williamson thrives on third-man singles early in his innings. Cutting off those easy runs can create pressure on Kiwis. Apart from this, India's defensive approach after the power play hurt them in the 2023 World Cup final. Staying aggressive throughout is the key. Third, follow the 2023 blueprint. India's 2023 World Cup win over New Zealand had a clear formula, defined batting roles. Rohit Sharma attacked early, Rohit and Kohli and Gill anchored, and Iyer finished very strong. Structured bowling plans. Each bowler had a role at the different stages. Therefore, the clarity and discipline must remain the focus. Fourth one, attack with 2 specialist spinners. We all know that New Zealand struggles against the wrist spin. India should play Kuldeep Yadav and Varun Chakravarti alongside Ravindra Jadeja. Kuldeep has 20 wickets in 11 ODIs against the Kiwi team, and Varun's mystery element can be a game changer, and Jadeja's accuracy adds control, forcing the mistake for the opponent. Fourth one, and the most important, strengthen batting depth. All in all, a deep batting lineup is essential for India. They have to. Akshar Patel and Rishabh Pant can add stability at the lower order, and the 2025 Champions Trophy provides a perfect stage for redemption. So it's time for India to give New Zealand a taste of their own medicine and rewrite the history.
Indian classical dance form Odishi mesmerized audiences in Tokyo. Transcending cultural boundaries, the Vivekananda Cultural Wing of the Embassy of India in Tokyo organized this initiative, bringing together dance enthusiasts to delve into the intricacies of this graceful and expressive art form. Here's more.
Amidst the bustling cityscape of Tokyo, a serene space was created dedicated to the graceful art of Odissi. This ancient dance, originating from Odisha, captivated participants from all walks of life. This initiative by the Vivekananda Cultural Center of the Embassy of India in Tokyo brought together beginners and seasoned dance enthusiasts, all eager to delve into the intricacies of this expressive art form. The workshop focused on the fundamental postures and the mudras that tell stories.
Wonderful. I mean, it's like I see they're very interested, trying to understand each and every movement patterns and the context of it. So, which is definitely very inspiring for me as a dance educator to see that in them.
Participants ranging from students to professionals were deeply immersed in the learning process. The Vivekananda Cultural Center in Tokyo is persistently working to encourage the Japanese population to pursue Indian traditional art forms, also fostering a deeper appreciation for Indian culture. Many express their appreciation for the opportunity to learn from an expert and connect with Indian traditions.
I practice Bharatanatyam and I teach yoga sometimes. So I love Indian cultures. So Vivekananda Cultural Center sometimes provide nice workshop taught by ICCR, good teachers, yeah. And today is Odishi, and I've never tried this dance, but I'm very interested.
Now, so Odissi, I joined Odissi, and it's first time for me. And I always see the reel on Instagram. It's first time, so I want to learn Odissi. Because I'm interested in Indian culture.
With the dancing in India, it's a nice idea to know the culture by the dancing because we can learn a lot of it. I'm enjoying a lot.
Standing here amid the vibrant energy of these Odissi dancers, I can feel the power of cultural exchange. This initiative by the Vivekananda Cultural Wing of the Indian Embassy of Tokyo is not just about teaching dance, it is about building bridges and understanding.
That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan this QR code on your screens to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.